Essentially, it all started back in the day when I was scrolling through Instagram, was seeing a ton of ads for it, other people talking about it. I started following them and I was like, I really want this. I was looking for a way to get a little bit more in touch with my body, understand my sleep a little bit better. Really, my main thing is like my cycles are super irregular, so I thought the period tracking was going to be fantastic so I could potentially understand what was going on there a little bit more. I saw a ton of different benefits. I know other like trackers really focus on the activity, whereas the Oura Ring was more like sleep and recovery, more similar to a Whoop, but I haven't tried Whoop yet. I might in the future, but we'll see. But essentially, I've tried a ton of different activity trackers. I've tried Fitbit, Garmin, and I currently have an Apple Watch right now as well that I wear all of the time. So really the only thing that stood out from the Oura Ring compared to the Apple Watch was the fact that the Oura Ring focused a little bit more on sleep, recovery, and then tracked the temperature and did the period prediction. Whereas the Apple Watch is more of like a smart watch, but it can track steps still, it can track heart rate, it can track sleep even, but it gives you a little bit different data based on that. It doesn't like adjust your activity goals based on those scores though, where the Oura Ring does. But personally, after years of doing that, I don't really feel like, I feel like I can tune into my body pretty well when it comes to determining my activity levels. So that part wasn't as valuable to me personally. But essentially on Black Friday in 2021, my husband, or my now husband, and I decided to purchase them for our wedding rings. And I normally do wear it on my left ring finger, but since I'm just chilling and not working out, then I am actually wearing my rings. I am also like a huge data person in general, so any additional data just makes me happy. And then even back then, I was kind of thinking about, like, I filled out the form to be contacted to potentially partner with them. I don't know what made me stop and not fill out additional information after they reached back out, but I was just like, I don't know how it's actually gonna be. I don't want to promote something that I haven't fully tried yet and know that I like, so I stopped. And honestly, I'm glad that I didn't partner with them because I don't know if I would recommend it. Yes, there are certain things that I liked about it and that I learned about my body, but no, I don't think it's worth it long term, and especially with the cost and the monthly subscription, I personally, for me at least, don't think it's worth it. So some of the things that I personally learned from my Oura Ring was the fact that eating late at night did actually impact sleep quality. So I work typically until 7 p.m. if I'm in the clinic, and I get home and my ideal bedtime according to my Oura Ring is actually 6:30 to 7:30. So I will get an alert at 5:30 every single day telling me to unwind for bed, even though I have an hour and a half left of work. It's not the most practical if you live a life, in my opinion, at least with my ideal bedtime based on what it was recommended. Yeah, I do feel better if I go to bed probably between like 7:30 and 8:30, but it was telling me to get to bed before that even. But I already knew that. So like the ideal bedtime didn't, it was just kind of funny that it told me that more so than anything versus like actually providing data that I didn't already know. So like the eating late at night did like teach me something, and it was just like, oh, maybe I need to reduce the amount that I'm eating at that time of day and potentially shift it earlier on in the day. And if I am having a bigger meal, just wait a little bit before going to bed or have that a little bit earlier. The other interesting thing that I learned is I pretty much get no restorative time, which is pretty much where your like body temperature goes up a little bit, your heart rate goes down, and it basically shows that you're like in more of like a parasympathetic state and you are relaxing and recovering and restoring. I pretty much get none of that if I'm not intentionally trying to get restorative time. So that was potentially something maybe to slow down a little bit in my day that I learned. But honestly, that was pretty much it. There were a lot more things that I was kind of disappointed by than I was like, oh, that was good to know. Really, the main thing for me, I was super excited about the period tracking. It maybe in the year and a half that I have been wearing this ring has predicted my period accurately once. It kind of terrifies me that they're partnering with natural cycles for birth control. Potentially for other people it might be a lot more accurate, but for me it was really not. I manually take my temperature every day with a oral thermometer, and there were days where my temperature on my ring would increase and the temperature on the thermometer would decrease or vice versa. It like didn't really match up in any way. There was no correlation with that. And so that kind of scared me a little bit. And also using that for period prediction, essentially your basal temperature is going to increase the second half after ovulation and then decrease pretty much like right when you get your period. Another thing for me that it did not do that it was supposed to do was actually measure my heart rate while I was working out or doing any sort of activity, it would not accurately track it. And it would be like, whoops, something interfered with your heart rate during this. But like the workout was tracked nonetheless, or something along those lines is whatever it says. But it maybe tracked my heart rate during an activity 5% of the time. I mean, my Apple Watch does it anyways, so I don't really care, but it was just kind of annoying to like have to track it on both devices if I wanted to, or vice versa. So pretty much it was useless for tracking any sort of working out, because if I was doing any sort of activity where I could wear my ring, such as like walking or running, it didn't track the heart rate, and then I pretty much had to take it off whenever I was doing any sort of like lifting or anything like that. So I would take it off whenever I was doing like pull-up bar workouts, like using a barbell or dumbbells or anything like that, just because I didn't want it to get like super scratched and out, so it kind of like got in my way. The size of the ring actually initially it took me a while to get used to, but now that I'm used to it, it's fine. I have to say, for my husband though, because we did use them as wedding bands, we got them at the same time, his tracks his heart rate during activities more frequently than mine, but it a lot of times still does interfere. The other thing was the sleep. I learned that I do not get very much REM sleep because it tracks the different stages, but I also learned that it's absolutely terrible at tracking my husband's sleep. So I don't know how accurate or consistent it is, but it pretty much was saying he was waking up a bazillion times throughout the night, even though he wasn't. And yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't tracking it, and it was pretty much useless for him. But what we think was happening with his sleep was it might have been tracking his REM sleep as awake time, and like it pretty much like took a stage up, I guess, each time. We don't know, but essentially the algorithm did not work for him by any means. And so he actually did not continue the subscription after the 6-month trial period ended. And he pretty much was like, it's useless without the app. He doesn't ever check the data anymore because it doesn't track his sleep, and the scores are pretty much whatever. So he's just wearing it as a wedding band right now, but I'm probably gonna stop wearing mine when my subscription ends, because it pretty much just like went a month from when I canceled, because I'd rather wear a smaller ring. The other thing that I have noticed, especially recently, is the charging time. I charged mine fully Monday morning. It is now Wednesday, and it already had to be charged this morning. So it lasted 2 days, and I believe it's supposed to last like 4 or 5 days. I'd have to double check, but previously it was lasting a lot longer. Another thing that it used to do that doesn't do consistently anymore is tell me that I need to charge it with the little pop-up before I go to bed. And so there's been multiple times where it's died in the middle of the night because it didn't notify me that I needed to charge it, and it just died. So that was a bit frustrating and disappointing on that. But all in all, I don't think I would recommend it for someone like me because the data wasn't accurate. It didn't really serve the purpose that I wanted it to serve, and the subscription fee is not worth it in addition to the cost for what you're getting. So this is going to be officially the first activity tracker I did not wear till it absolutely died. So I've went through like 2 Garmin's, 2 Fitbits, and 1 Apple Watch. I'm still really impressed with how long the Apple Watch is lasting. So we'll see how long that lasts. But essentially, I'm just going to stop using my Oura ring. I can listen to my body, use my Apple Watch, use a thermometer and a period tracker for no additional cost each month instead of using the Oura ring tracker. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do. That's why I'm not renewing or continuing with my membership for the Oura ring. There are potentially some people that I would recommend it for, but for the most part, I can't say it's 100% worth it for everyone or anything like that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. And if you do want to check out any of my other videos, I'm going to go ahead and put the playlist for some workouts if you want to follow along with some workouts, or if you just want to learn a little bit more, I have some educational videos over here.